just puts me more at ease than anything. So UF, let's talk about UF. My responsibilities, my title is Director of Maintenance and Operations, and you may say, well, what is that exactly? So facility services is quite large. We have the building and custodial side. We have maintenance and operations. We have grounds. We have our utility side. And then we have finance, general stores, recycling, all of those different type of things. So my area encompasses, I heard someone mention roofing a while ago. Sean, I believe that might have been you. So I tried to take notes of who does what just so I can kind of connect back with everybody. But roofing, carpentry, life safety, small projects, and then some of that's into the construction side. So I heard a couple of you say about the construction side of business. Plumbing, electrical, that includes generators. And then we have HVAC, which includes controls, chillers, and inside steam. We also have outside steam that is handled by one of the utility groups. I have the lock shop. I have a group called the pilot team that does data analytics and some other really unique things with AI. So it's actually pretty cool. We use data to inform our decisions and what we actually do. So my team, we do have 24/7 coverage. We just initiated that last year about this time. We're still slow to get some of the staffing in place, but we are getting that to where it's a 24/7 operation. We have the PM team that does a lot of HVAC work and some maintenance mechanics who do kind of a combination of a little bit of everything. So I think I covered all my groups that I've got. Sometimes I leave someone out, and that's unintentional because everybody on my team, I feel like are superstars and they make the magic happen, as I like to say. We're close enough to Disney that I think I can say that. So anyway, we do that here on campus. We not only do it on campus, we also do it over at the Health Science Center. So everything that surrounds Shands, kind of, including the vet area, the vet med area, is our responsibility and our purview. That's about, it's over 1,000 buildings. It is 14 million plus square feet that we have to take care of. IFAS is a group all their own. Housing is somewhat, they're connected to us, but they kind of still do part of what is their own. And then athletics kind of handles their stuff. We do handle some things at the stadium, but for the most part, that's athletics. And we do handle the O'Connell Center, so I should say that. So it's kind of a partnership sometimes with athletics. So lots of area to take care of. What we do, it's a busy day. I just had a meeting this morning with Animal Care Services and the importance of taking care of animals that are on our campus as well. So we do quite a bit. We have about 60 plus thousand students. I don't know the numbers from last year. In 2023, it was about 60,400, right at 60,500 students that came on site. That does not include those who sign up to want to come or do their admission letters to want to come to UF. That is those who are accepted and who come on site. So about 40,000 of those are undergrad. The rest are professional and grad students. We have a little over 2,000 acres. So I came from Atlanta, and the higher ed institution I was with up there had about 400, and I thought that was somewhat large. So I saw the beautiful sprawling area that UF has. We also take care of some offsite buildings. We have East Campus. We help out with the Trio Center. We have the Reef that's out in Fort Walton, and we also have Whitney Labs that's over in St. Augustine. So our purview is quite large. Yes, we do travel. Yes, we go and see. So that's a little bit about my team and what they do. I am the type of person I am when you want to do business with us. And I think most of you have seen and have heard me say this. There's a couple of things that are critical to me, but I let the people who report to me make those decisions because they're the ones that are, I consider the subject matter expert. So safety is first and foremost the most critical thing to me, that you keep your workers safe no matter what and follow the policies here at UF. Keeping them safe means they get to go home every day the same way that they came in, if not better. And that's what I want to see. I have two girls of my own that I cherish with every part of my being. So I want to be able to go home to them every day. So we ask that everybody be safe. So safety is a key and critical point. If you don't have a safety system, you could probably talk to Desiree and they could probably give you some examples of stuff. But at any point, and I'm going to tie back to Desiree and small business a lot. Um, I don't have a problem with people sending me emails, but I like to keep them tied in because we're partners with them and they're the ones who can reach out to the right groups. Facility services is quite large, so sometimes it may not be me, it may be somebody else that's in our team that she can reach out to. But safety is number one. I'll tie back to that. Number two is the quality of work that you do. So when we try new members or new teams that are new construction, new companies, new vendors, whomever, and they come to work with us, we give them something small to begin with to see how they do before we increase that boundary for you to do more work at UF. It just ensures us that we know what you're doing and that we can take a look and see the quality of work because quality is also important. So, quality, communication, safety, all those things are very critical when you're doing business with us. If you do not know something, don't assume because UF is so big, you ask the point of contact on our team and they will help you. They're always happy to help you. Asking for forgiveness is not the right way. That is not the right approach. Let me just say that. Asking for permission is the right approach. So if you don't know something, don't assume that you do. Oh, it should be okay if I park here. Oh, it should be okay if I do this. It should be okay if I tie into this power over here. You need to find out first and ask before you go ahead and make that assumption because that can get you into some trouble. So always make sure you're following the policies. You ask for clarification. That is what we're here for, to make everybody successful and to make you successful so that you can return and do business if you're afforded that opportunity. Um, Working on a college campus, I've been in manufacturing. I grew up in manufacturing, so to speak. And so being in university campus is always critical. When I mention safety, you always have to look at how many of you have driven on campus when it's the beginning of fall semester. Yeah. So what now would take you about 5 to 10 minutes, maybe 15 to get across campus, takes you between 30 and 45 minutes to get across campus. Students are not looking, and again, I have two daughters who are teenagers. They are not looking at cars that are oncoming. What are they typically looking at? Right? They're either looking at that or talking with their friends. So you have to pay special care, special attention to them. So understanding our environment, students are always who we try to look out for first, along with faculty and along with researchers. You may say, why? Because without the students, the researchers, and the faculty, none of us have a job. I'm just going to be that blunt. That's just the way it works. Students need to come here to get their education. Researchers have gotten funding to do a lot of research. Faculty are here to teach our students and to get them, to move forward and to always push that limit. And without them, we're not successful. We're just buildings on a lot of property. So they make it alive and lively, and we want to make sure that we are taking care of them, along with the critical staff. Let me not take away from the critical staff who makes the big head turn that gets everything to moving, because without the staff, a lot of things don't flow as they should. So I don't want to take away from them either. But you have to understand our environment. You have to understand what is critical when you're on site. Again, parking, I will say, is one of the biggest challenges that we have here. And making your own parking spot, by the way, well, that's not a good idea. Parking and transportation will tow you or they will ticket you. And coming and asking your department representative or your UF representative to help pay for that ticket, you're probably going to get a big no. So just so you're aware, it's like, no, that's where, what did I say before? You've got to ask for permission, not forgiveness. So I want to stress that very intently, that Parking is a challenge. We do realize that more buildings are going up. They're talking about other things around campus. So parking becomes real restrictive. My own team has those issues. So what I'm telling you is not anything that I haven't shared with the team. You cannot block handicap or ADA accessible entrances or sidewalks where that's the only means of them getting around. So you have to be very careful with that. You cannot. Our director of landscaping is probably very partial to the grass. So if you say, well, I'll just park over here in the grass, yeah, you may be helping destroy something that he has taken a lot of care of to make the campus beautiful. So please always ask before you make assumptions. Materials and storage. I heard the two talk about construction. I want to say Sean was one of them, and who else did I see had construction? It's my notes were not that I started making them, but I don't know if it's James or somebody else talked about construction. But anyway, I know Sean did. It may have been Keith. I'm not sure. But anyway, if you do construction on site and you need a laydown area for your materials, first of all, you are responsible for the materials. That's part of your scope. But if you need a laydown area, you will drive around and see that there are laydown areas around campus. So we will help you with that. Larger projects do have those, larger capital projects. Typically, it's indicated with like a big fence with some covering over the fence so that it keeps it kind of well secured. I have seen some folks on the construction crew parking in there. It's really not meant for parking, it's meant for materials and storage. Um, no smoking on the campus. I will say that. That's another piece that we have that it's a non-smoking campus. So if someone comes up to you, and we had someone here not too far from facility services one day, and they were over there and they were getting stuff out of their truck and had a cigarette hanging out of their mouth. So we politely went to them and said, this is a non-smoking campus. So please make sure that your workers abide by that. You'll probably get notified if they are not following it and asked to take care of that right away. If they if there's an accident on campus, they are not to run away from that accident. They are to stop, call you all, and call the facility services rep or their rep on site and make sure that it's reported in the correct manner. We take, like I said, safety serious. We want incidents reported, whether they're near misses or they're actual instances. So some people have had vehicle incidents on site, and we want to make sure that we get the police report, we get what happened. If it's a big safety concern, then we'll review it and make sure that we know how to make sure that doesn't get it can't be repeated is the way I'll say it, because we want to make sure everybody's safe. Um, Situational awareness as a whole is something that we ask that you and your teams pay close attention to. Um, a lot of people who start here, and maybe you've been on site, but maybe you have someone new coming on site, take the time to explain to that new worker some of these just general things that we may just take for granted on a daily basis, like, hey, you should have known that. Well, they may not. So you need to ask if you have new people coming on site to do work, like, hey, I heard someone say catering a while ago. Susan said catering. So if Susan talks about catering, she's bringing something, but she has a new driver or she has a new worker that's working with her. Oh, you just go and go here and go to this, go to Broward Dining, go here, go to this area, go to Norman Hall. Everybody's going to look at you like, wait a minute, what? With over 1,000 buildings, it can be a little overwhelming. So make sure you take that extra time with your new person so that it helps them, puts them at ease, and they're kind of like not looking at it with like a deer in headlight look, if that makes sense. So just understand what we do, understand how important it is. Like I said, we have lots of areas that, when I mentioned research earlier, millions of dollars go into research. It only takes one incident to make that research be, just kind of, it's ruined. And they have spent either years, lots of money, or different things. So researchers are critical. Student life is critical. Our faculty and what they do is critical. So, and then the staff is also critical. So I wouldn't put one person above the other. I'm just telling you there are critical pieces that we pay attention to when we're on campus. Um, so sensitivity of things, if you're bringing stuff and there's noise, fumes, safety hazards, if you're part of that, just please make sure you communicate. Communication is key when you're here on site. Not only to your point of contact, but you may have signage. We may ask you to put up signage if you're doing some construction work. If you're doing some cleaning, I heard a couple of janitorial. I heard like hurricane prep and response. Sometimes it's everybody's like, well, they should have known that was a flood in there. Well, they should have known they saw our equipment out there. We're trying to take care of stuff. This gets in everybody's way. So they're not going to always look at the signs that's right in front of them. So helping us to, or they're not going to pay attention to what's in front of them, I should say. Signage helps getting the stuff to them in email. We will help you do that. We are the partners that help make, like I said, the magic happen. So I'm going to stop there just for a second and see if people have questions because I don't want to keep talking the entire time. I'm put out a bunch of stuff at once. So you can come off mute and let me know if you have questions, please. No.
I just for one wanted to say hi. I'm
Hi.
Bob. I just for one wanted to say it's obvious. I've heard you speak now twice, and um, you're not talking about procurement tracks and other more bidding and all of that stuff. And because I really appreciate that I think you're trying to help us understand the culture and to fit seamlessly as we can within that. And as that is probably up to, if not as important as the work that we're doing. So I just wanted to say thanks for filling in those soft kind of skills because it's obviously important to you and we want to hear you.
Yes, thank
That's
you.
it. Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Thank you. Anybody else?
Keith, were you trying to get off of mute? Okay, you're still muted.
Yeah, I heard you talk about other types of work, but I didn't hear you say anything about PPE items, paper items, uh, the supply items that I want to do business with UF about. Is that through facilities also?
So facilities does have a stores on site that does handle like either putting that out for like stock items to like our custodial services, or we do have a director of building services. He has both campus health science center and housing, and so he would be the person. I think Desiree has Tyler's information, so if you reach out to Desiree, she can absolutely. PPE we do use, let me just say that. So it depends on what safety items you have, whether it's Kevlar gloves as an example, or welding sleeves, or I don't know, safety glasses. So that would stores still would carry those. So you could probably get the information to Desiree and she would know who to point you to. You can also send me an email, but I always try to, like I said, tie back into Desiree and the team and let them get that's part of their function in building those connections.
Okay. One other thing, I did my registration via supplier, but I got an email from from the accountant specialist asking me for a contact person. And that would be the last part of my registration information. So I've reached out a couple times to Tyler and I haven't got a response yet, but I do need a response uh, so I can list a contact person.
A representative from facilities that would sponsor you as an example, is that what we're saying?
Correct. Yes.
Okay. Desiree, do you want to take that to follow back up with Tyler and see if he wants maybe somebody on his team to be the person as a
Yes, that's
contact?
fine. That question would be more so for procurement or our supplier maintenance team, Keith. So we can follow up on a separate meeting
Okay.
with that.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Does TAPS fall under my umbrella? No, that does not fall under my umbrella. That is under our business affairs group. But again, I think Desiree, you have some of those contacts. So if is it a parking question?
Kinda, because there's so many parking lots for UF. Some of them are UAA, some of them are tabs. It's just kind of hard to get a sense of who would be the contact for which one. We've talked to and we've worked with Stefan. He's the new director there,
Okay.
but he's newer, so he's not sure what the UAA covers, and so it's
I will say this about taps here on site. They try to clearly and visibly put up parking signs to where it says if it's reserved for a certain someone who has paid for that year to have their license plate put up there, and it says reserved, and they do take that very serious. The service vehicle and the state vehicle spots. There's also a contractor parking lot, so they do have it clearly identified. Otherwise, if you pull up to a parking garage, there's one over by Health Science Center, and it says like silver or gold. Yeah, they take that very serious. First of all, you won't be able to get in there because your Gator card would not work because it has drop arms. The general parking, there's one. There's a parking garage. I know it by the number. It's parking lot 14, I think, and there's one over by Rights Union as well that they have some general parking, I believe, or you can pay for general parking. But that is something that TAPS does take very serious. They do have laminated permits that they will give a contractor if they're going to be here for a while, like a larger project. So you would just have to work with them and your point of contact to make sure that you get one of those. It may still come with a fee. I'm not gonna short sell you there. That may come with a fee, but
Mhm.
once you do that, then it's laminated and you can park in a service vehicle area.
Thank you.
Yeah, sure.
I'm sorry, Kim, I had to get off the call really quick. I didn't hear if someone had asked in reference to janitorial. Um, is this the correct department that handles that for like the stadiums and the O'Connell Center? I know I heard you mention the O'Connell Center,
So the
but for
O'Connell,
like
yeah, so the O'Connell Center we have for maintenance related items, whether it's electrical, anything mechanical, HVAC, plumbing. For the janitorial piece, for sure, the O'Connell Center handles their own. So there's someone named Jeremy Sinkar who's the associate director there. And then for UAA, like with the stadium and all that stuff, UAA would probably handle that. IFAS probably has their own custodial team, and then we handle some of housing, and then we handle what's the rest of what we call the ENG buildings. Um, and so
okay,
Tyler and Desiree, I'm going to point back to Desiree again because Tyler is that person. I think sometimes he gives presentations maybe with the teams as well, but that's who handles. I do not do the custodial, so I try to stay in my sandbox and
okay.
not move over into anybody else's, but they do a really nice job. And if Tyler's not available, he's got two assistant directors that could probably talk to you about that.
Okay, thank you.
Yes,
Yes.
and Javante, I can give you an email with all of the contacts that she just mentioned if you would like,
Yes, that'll be perfect. Thank you so much.
Chris.
Thank you for joining today, by the way. You said you had
Thank
to leave
you.
early, right?
Yes, ma'am. I jumped on a call in the middle, like while I had a break to get some information. So I gotta go back and finish servicing some veterans.
I understand busy schedules. So yes,
Yes, ma'am.
thank you
All
for
right. Well,
joining
thank
today.
you. Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Absolutely.
yes.
Bye bye.
Bye. Anybody else have a question?
I have a question.
Okay.
This is Jan Lana with Main Street Daily News, the local newspaper. We had started distribution on campus when we first went into print, which was about 2.5 years ago, but we had a different distribution company. And I think he worked directly with getting the papers in those banks of brown boxes. And I don't know that we actually have the contact and we'd like to expand that. do you know who manages those paper boxes? And is it, if they're all brown, are the ones that are in Shands, are they part of the same network? Whoever, or does the same person do those?
So I'm going to answer that two different ways, and Desiree, I may need her help. I don't know who manages that. That's my first answer to you. I don't know that. Shands typically is a different entity. It doesn't mean that they might not have the same person doing those newspapers as well. But Shands is just like for the area of my responsibility, I have everything but Shands. A lot of times that is the dividing line, is Shands is all by itself, but they may still have the same contract or contact person. The first place I would go is probably communications, but Desiree may know that better than I do, or take that down as an action item to see, because normally our communications group, I would think, would handle all that distribution of newspapers and such. So Desiree, would you happen to know any differently than what I said?
I would not know, but I would say UF Print and Mail would probably be a good place to start as well.
Okay. Well, I do take newspapers over there, so I can ask
Mhm.
them. We
Yeah.
work with communications department. I didn't think the communications department would be, but I can ask them. So I can, I'll ask, and if I can't get an answer, I'll circle back to you.
Yes, please. Yeah, we'll try to
Okay.
get you an answer some way.
Mhm.
Well, that's a good question, actually, and it's something that I probably need to know already. I've been here 2.5 years, and you would think I would know that, but I do not know that at this moment.
And I agree with Bob. I think your presentations are always very informative of how we need to behave and make sure that we're mindful that we need to tell other people what that we have on campus, because we don't want to be in trouble, because they don't understand the rules. So I appreciate you doing these types of presentations where you're just kind of being very transparent with everything.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you so much. It's always good to hear. I told Desiree earlier, normally we have the slideshows up when it's in person. And I told her, I said, "Oh, I can talk it. I don't need to have that in front of me." So I do like to talk. But yes, and I enjoy meeting you all and seeing faces and sharing what I think will make you successful. Anybody can put through for like procurement and things of that nature. It's important to understand what the expectation is from a culture of what we do on campus. So
Yes.
Yes.
I appreciate you doing these presentations for us.
Well, I hope the information never gets old, but thank you very much. Thank you very much. Yes. I was going to share a quick story. We actually had a vendor that came and wanted to do business with us. So this is a lesson. I always say it's a lesson to learn unless you keep creating the same thing and then it becomes a mistake. Okay. So mistakes become lessons, but they can still be a mistake if you don't learn from it. So I want you to take away that part of it. But we did have a new vendor who came on site. They wanted to do some work with us. So we started small. Thankfully, we did, because it did not take the best turn. There was some communication. There was some critical things that the team did not do. They didn't get all the departments that we had told them they needed to get involved, and they just proceeded on their way to get work done. And we were working in conjunction with another group to get this big project completed. And so we didn't know what happened until a couple of people went out on vacation, and all of a sudden I heard from one of the other departments and said, "This is basically, we're not going to be able to finish this for the customer. It is like stopped," which stopped work is a big deal. And so they were like, "We need you to help." Well, keep in mind, I just said two of our critical people that run the project were on vacation. So we tried to never have single point failure. It took a lot of coaching and getting involved and helping, like, do more hand holding with that group. It taught us a valuable lesson of what to do. We almost pulled them completely from doing business at UF as a whole. And thankfully, we were able to course correct, get them back on the right track. They made a commitment. That was part of it. They made a commitment that we are going to do better. We are going to get this right. We want more work at UF. So I say that to say it only takes one time for something to be that serious that we could say we're not doing it anymore. But this group made a commitment. We were like, okay, we'll let you do this small portion again and see how it goes. I'm being intentionally vague because I don't want it to, I'm being respectful to that group. I don't want to embarrass them, but it was a huge lesson. It was a huge risk for us, because when we put an investment in small businesses to partner with us, we're also putting our neck out to say, we want you to be successful. So it's a commitment on both sides. So it almost went really bad. And so it is still in the course correction phase. We're keeping a close eye on it, but it taught us a valuable lesson. So that's why I say mistakes are mistakes unless you make them a lesson. And so we chose at that point to make it a lesson. But yeah, that's a true story, and it just happened recently. It happened within like a month ago. So it's been a journey. The team stepped up, and we're holding their hand a little bit tighter. So. Any other questions?
Actually, I have one question, and
Okay.
I'm not sure if this is the right platform to ask it, but I have just, I just joined the meeting with the purpose to understand what are the best ways to start doing business with UF. How do I approach? And like I told, I am into the business of, my company is into the business of bookkeeping, accounting, financial analysis, anything related to spreadsheeting and stuff like that. So if anybody could help me with that and let me know, it would be great. Thank you.
Okay. Well, you're connected to Desiree in that group, so I'll say that's the best. For us, I mentioned I have a data analytics team that's within maintenance and operations, and we keep a close eye. We have a finance group here, so they do that for us, but it's not to say that there's not something out there, whether it's in analytics or whatever, that you might be able to help other departments. But I will let Desiree, you can connect with her and she can probably point you in the right direction. Um, so yeah, so welcome. We're glad you're here.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, thank
And
you for joining the call. So what I can do, myself or Denise can set up a strategy session with you, and we can
mhm.
point you in the right direction as far as which departments here on campus are going to be able to possibly procure your products or services.
Okay, thank you. So should I send an email to you or how do we
Yes,
proceed
that's
from here?
fine. I'm going to drop the department email in the chat.
Okay,
And so Denise and I will both see it as well as the other contacts in our department.
thank you. That will be helpful. Thanks a lot.
So a couple of general rules that I will cover, and I know it's about 12:40. My clock says 12:46, so I want to be respectful of everybody's time. It's always everybody's got busier schedules probably. I know I've got another meeting right behind this one, but there's some general rules that we look at too that I want to make sure everybody is aware of. So we talk about inappropriate behavior. So there's a couple of things, and you may say, I already know what this is. I'm going to cover it anyway because it's also important. When you're doing business at UF, one of the things you have to think about is your behavior. There's a lot of young students around here. Some of them are miles and miles away from home. Some of them are international. Some of them are, just like from a different state or whatever. It's the first time that they are maybe in their adulthood by themselves. I don't know. But anyway, we want to make sure no matter if you're around a student or if you're around other people, do not use abusive, profane, or otherwise inappropriate language. And I will tell you from a personal perspective, I don't like that either. So I'm just going to speak right out. I don't like for people to use that kind of language. And so I will ask you to refrain if I hear that or if I hear any of your workers, and then I'll come report it to you. Um, we don't want any racially offensive or insensitive speech or sexually explicit speech. Bad jokes, whatever, that is not to be tolerated. So we don't want that. People may have always tell people that they can be respectful, they can be kind, but I would ask that people also be cautious with what they bring into the workplace to share. You may have your own beliefs and values, and that's okay. but putting it out to someone else or kind of being judgmental, as I will say, it's not okay. So we want to make sure that we keep it very professional and very respectful. People come from different backgrounds, so please make sure that we're always doing that. Your teams are not allowed to use break rooms, office phones, university ladders, or any of the equipment, step stools, or furniture. We have had some of our contractors ask us if they could use our lifts and things of that nature, and the answer is no. There's a liability that goes with that, so that's going to be a big no. No excessive noise, radios, loud talking, using a speakerphone. The only ones that are allowed to do that's probably at the stadium. So during football games. So I'm just going to tell you, we don't like that. You have to keep in mind that you are on a college campus. I would also say that you nor your teams are allowed to fraternize with the students. What does that mean? It can mean anything from you see the same student if you have a project that's long standing and they come up and they're asking questions, and all of a sudden they're just being real friendly and they want to give you a hug every morning. That's not okay. Really not okay. So just say, sorry, we can't do that. We've been told that's not okay. We appreciate the questions, but stopping by every morning and be the adult and advisor and mentor to that young person and say, I just need you to keep going, just be nice to them. They are probably curious. So we have the College of Construction on site, architecture and building and construction. And so several of them may want to come if you're doing a construction type and just see what you're doing. But it's not meant for you to fraternize with them. So please refrain if we find out. A lot of these are grounds for not using you again, actually. We take them very serious. My team does. And so please make sure you refrain from that. Like I said, students are typically curious. They're also in a hurry to get to class. They may say, hey, you took my walking path and you've got a fence up now. Can I just scoot through here and still take my walking path? Well, that becomes a waterfall because that one student turns into probably 1,000 that want to do the same thing. So the answer is no. You're looking out for their safety. So please make sure that you refrain from allowing them to be curious or, hey, come with me. And, I am very careful. I wear open-toed shoes in the summer. It's cooler and all this stuff, but I always carry my steel toes with me. And so if I'm going out to a job site and I take frequent field trips, it may not look the best if I'm in a dress and steel toe shoes, but guess what? I'm in a dress and steel toe shoes. That's just the way it goes. So I am telling you to always make sure you're keeping your area safe and not letting the curiosity of the students say, hey, what's going on? Or, tearing things back. So no fraternizing, no allowing them to come into a work area that would be unsafe potentially for them. I will tell you, and that did not happen here. When I was back in Atlanta, we were redoing a historical building that was 8 floors up. And some students took some liberties and decided to cross over the barriers. And they went up and they were sitting on the edge of the 7th floor with their feet dangling. They got into a lot of trouble because they went against the student code of conduct. So if I were you, I wouldn't get caught up in the student code of conduct. If you've allowed that, well, they let us through the last time. Just refrain from even doing that. Say, I'm sorry, you can't come this way. You can be very nice about it. Your teams can be, but just refrain from letting students be curious about your work area. Okay. Understand class schedules. If you don't know them, you will quickly find out what they are. Trust me. I always try to travel when I know the classes have just changed or they're in the middle of their class session. I'm like, that's the easiest time to get around campus. And then student modes of transportation. So a lot of you raised your hand about when you've been here and trying to get across campus. How many of you have sat in a turning lane? You're getting ready to turn left because the light is green in your favor, the arrow is there, and a student comes just breezing by on a bicycle or a scooter because they didn't pay attention that it was a green light in your favor. Sometimes you have to watch out for those kind of and there's certain areas where I drive on campus that I'm always looking in my rearview mirror or my side mirror, because when I'm getting ready to turn, I know that that's a heavy crosswalk area. So I will slow down intentionally and stop with my blinker on because I know they're coming through, because they do not stop. Are there ramifications for them? No. I will be honest with you, no. So they can just breeze right through, but it's on us to be more cautious and be aware. So be aware of your surroundings. So bikes, scooters, especially coming down hills, they scare me to death, and you'll see a lot of them without a helmet, which bothers me even more, but I'm not their mom. I have to remember that. But not. We did have someone on one of the steeper hills have a terrible accident because it got away from them. It was just going way too fast, and they fell, and um, the pavement was not forgiving. I will say that. So they got hurt pretty badly, but they're okay. But they got a lot of road rash. I will say that. So just be aware. Just always pay attention. And if you have younger siblings, if you have nieces or nephews, if you have children of your own, think about these students as if they're one of yours, because that's kind of the mindset I do. But even though my girls, they're close to coming to college, but I still think of, I would want to treat them with the same respect, and I would want my children to be treated the same way. So I always think of it in that light. Again, if you don't have children, you may say, well, I have a niece or I have a nephew, or, I know people, my friends have kids. Just think of it in that light, because there's about 60 plus thousand of them here. So um, I see us as shepherds to help guide them to be successful adults one of these days. And UF is one of the best, and we want to be the best. So that's why we do this. Okay. Any questions? We're at 5 minutes. Desiree, I'll turn it back over to you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Kim. That was amazing. And she didn't even have to use a presentation. So at the moment, if there are no questions, we're going to pull up a survey. Denise, if you could share your screen just so we can get your feedback, because you guys are on the receiving end of our services. We want to, hear from you. How did we do? If this presentation was helpful, or if this initiative is something that you would like to continue to see, so you can get in contact with UF departments, let us know. But at the moment, the survey is what we are requesting from you, and then you are free to enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you so much, Kim. And you all are going to be able to find this presentation on YouTube under our department. You have Small Business Relations within the next week. So until then, I hope you all have a great remainder of your day, remainder of your week, and we're here if you all need help with anything. So